Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are watching, from wherever you are watching around the world. Welcome to another episode of Agents in the Trenches, the real life struggles of agents in this new market. And this is a conversation that we have been unveiling, pulling back the curtains, having conversations even at the local level through our masterminds that we launched yesterday with agents that are raising their hands and saying, hey, I want to be part of something different. I'm looking for more. I'm hungry. Here are the struggles that I'm having. What do you recommend? What do you think? And it's been a conversation that has been growing week after week. So thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, we encourage you to share this with a realtor, a real estate agent, team leader, broker, because at the end of the day, we're all part of the same industry. And we are coming from a mindset of collaboration and contribution. And we know that there's different struggles that agents right now, team leaders and brokers are facing, because obviously, we are in a new market that has not been, real estate on easy street as before. But there's also a lot of agents out there that are finding ways to overcome the challenges and to rise up, like we were saying yesterday, rise up, show up, level up, and take their business to the next level and not just survive in this market, but thrive in this market. So I want to welcome my running mate, Thalia. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Super excited for this topic. As always, I think we've been dropping pretty good content. These conversations has been so, just juicy, raw, right? We're having raw conversations of real life, experiences that we're having, whether we're going through it ourselves or talking to agents that are experiencing it in this market. So yesterday was very interesting, and I'm excited to unpack that.
So kick it off. Tell everybody a little bit about what we did yesterday. It was a one of a kind. It was our first time, and it was exciting that we even jumped on a call before that and got some confirmation from a super, high level performance group of people that talked about, starting masterminds with agents from all different brands, all different companies, all different logos, all different affiliations, because at the end of the day, together we are stronger. And we just happen to have thought of putting that together. I had said to you, listen, why don't we just bring all these people that are raising their hands, right, that are wanting to know more about our open house project? Why don't we just bring them in? Let me do a mastermind with them, and let's really dig deeper and open up some interesting conversations. And so that's exactly what took place yesterday. It was totally organic and unplanned, but it turned out to be so enlightening and so empowering. So tell everyone a little bit about what we did yesterday.
Yeah, so we got a small intimate group of real estate agents, and the dynamic between these agents were very, very different, right? We had one person who recently took the class and hasn't really done anything yet. We had another person who's been in the industry for a little bit and has done some transaction. And then we had another person that was actually interviewing agent or brokers at the moment. So, we had different kinds of people in the different stages of real estate, and the conversations that went down was super, interesting. I mean, they all came from different perspectives. So I think it helped, each other, like through the conversations, they were helping each other without even knowing that they were doing it, just like talking about their experiences. So I think enlightening was, definitely the best words to describe that mastermind.
It was great.
It was awesome.
And it was very enlightening because each and every one of them came from a different perspective. And that was my whole concept. My whole concept was, so what is the perspective of agents out there? And so if you're watching us live or watching us on replay, say hello, we'll say hello back. But that is what I am curious about. What exactly is the temperature of the real estate industry in each organization. I can only speak for my organization and the level of, huge collaboration and contribution that we receive from our business partners, but what's happening in other places. And, obviously we are not going to divulge names, and we're not going to divulge, companies, brands, or anything, because this is not intended to, bash anyone or to really judge anyone, but it is a fact. So it is a fact that agents are going through struggles. It is a fact that, brokers and team leaders are right now in an ocean of redness, right? A red ocean of challenge, and what do we do? And then how are the agents navigating? For me, the most enlightening part that I got yesterday from this group of agents that showed up and these conversations that we had yesterday was, the agents are having to fend for themselves. And at the end of the day, here's the question: do agents really know what they need to survive in this market? Do agents really know what they're looking for? What was your thoughts on that? What did you get out of it? Because I know what my perspective was as I was hearing their stories.
So one of the agents mentioned something yesterday that they gave an analogy as far as what it feels like to go into this real estate industry. And she mentioned that it felt like a new kid at school, just lost in the shuffle. And I thought that was so powerful when she said that, because we all experienced that moment, one way or another. So the fact that she related that experience to that analogy, it was like, wow, she felt like she was lost in the shuffle. She's a new real estate agent coming in from a background that has nothing to do with real estate. So of course the language, what to do, how to do it is unknown. So we can, unpack on that a little bit,
Well, she's in the business. So when we say new, let's describe new. I mean, she's been in real estate over a year and a half. She has put several deals together. So, in our industry, new is like you've been doing this less than 3 months. So, I mean, she's already gotten her feet wet. And she was onto her second company. Okay, this agent was onto their second company. And even with that, I could sense I'm still not getting what I feel is going to help me thrive in this market or in my career. And one of the things that I know from being a professional recruiter, because I started learning how to recruit in 2012, and I don't recruit any longer because I realized that that's the traditional way of growing. Recruiting doesn't work. Honestly, and I'll go head to head with anyone, recruiting traditionally doesn't work. And I can prove it because part of the conversation yesterday with one of the agents that is brand new, right? And he also raised his hand. He reached out to us and said, hey, I've been seeing, I want to know more about what you're doing and how you guys are doing it. And he said, I asked him, I said, so how is it going out there? What are you finding? He says, everybody says their company is number one.
Yeah.
And that's the truth about recruiting. Recruiting is so, oh my gosh, it's broken. The recruiting model is broken, and I think agents are getting savvy enough to understand that, okay, so everybody's company is number one, so who am I going to pick? But speaking with this other agent, I did also feel her pain when she said, I feel like a new kid at school. Everybody's telling me, and here's the other thing I found interesting. It's like, so does your company offer mentorship? Does your company offer, formal mentorship? And the answer was, oh yes. Everybody tells me, if you have a question, let me know. I'm like, since when is 411, right? Get information or raise your hand if you have a question, formal mentorship. So I really think that it comes down to the waters are lowering and we're starting to see a lot of nakedness and people are starting to feel a lot of the pain. We spoke to another person. I'm going to say person. I don't even want to say if it's a he or a she, a person that shared with us that they had lost 2 transactions for almost $1 million total volume because their leadership took days to get back to them. Their leadership took almost 3 to 4 days to get back to them. And I was like, oh, the pain. So guys, the struggle is real. So drop it in the comments. The struggle is real. Let's activate the chat a little bit. And if you've got something to share, or if you're hearing some of these stories, let us know what you're hearing, because that's what I want to know. Like, I want to get the nitty gritty from the agents in the trenches. And so, when you hear someone say, I had a customer, they wanted to put a contract on 2 pieces of property for a total of over $600,000 in volume, but I lost it because I couldn't get a hold of anyone for 3 to 4 days. I'm like, the struggle is real. The struggle is real.
The pain, I mean, in his face, the way, even just saying it, you can tell how painful that was for him. And he just got recently licensed as well. So,
but you know what? Right now, so I know we're talking a lot about new agents, but let me tell you what's happening to the agents that have been in the industry for a long time. They're feeling the pain as well, because the lead sources are not. Listen, let's put it this way. It's real simple, okay? And a lot of us get filled with ego. And when you ask someone, so how's business? Oh, it's good, everything's good. We already know that interest rates took away a large portion of the first-time home buyer market, okay? We already know that the ratios, the LTVs, the loan-to-value ratios and the income ratios, and are not meeting. The ends are not meeting. So that's a challenge. We already know that a lot of the top listing agents are ending up with inventory sitting there because the prices, are not where the sellers wanted. And even if they could get the prices they wanted, the seller's question is, where am I going to go next? Where am I going to go next? And how do I know this? Because you and I got in the trenches in the month of January, February. We were having conversations face to face, nose to nose, toe to toe with for sale by owners that expired, right, Talia?
Yeah.
And that's what they were saying. Listen, my listing expired, but I can't get the money I was expecting to get from it before. So right there, we lost another large segment of the market. And then you have for sale by owners that are also in the same boat. I'm not able to get the amount of money that I wanted to get on my property. And even if I did, where am I going to go next? So even agents that have been in the business, and let me tell you the people that are feeling the most pain, because I know this is new to a lot of people, but remember, this is not my first rodeo. I've been around since the year 2000. I've been a broker since 2005. I survived the horrific 2008 market crash. So the people that are hurting the most are the people that got into real estate. I'm going to tell you exactly when. 2018, 2017, and now. Because they got spoiled to not needing a lot of skills to put deals together. So when you are on the Titanic and the Titanic is afloat, and you are cruising on a breezy, sunny, tropical, ocean of just crystal smooth waters, and then all of a sudden now all hell is breaking loose. You don't have the skills of knowing how to swim, and now the Titanic is taking on water. You remember me telling people in 2021, listen, you got to learn, you got to level up with your skill set. You got to know the conversations. You can't show up, you cannot show up to a conversation with a buyer or a seller and start umming. The customers know you are Mickey Mouse if you're showing up and you're or you don't know the questions to ask. Guys, Talia, what's the number one thing you have to do when you're in a conversation with a buyer or seller? Do you recall?
Ask questions.
You gotta ask questions. If you don't know what questions to ask, you are done. You're done. You're done. You're done. And Talia, how easy is it to know how to ask questions? Be honest. Let's have a transparent moment.
It's not easy. It's not easy. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I still struggle with it. I know what I want out of the conversation. So I think when you're like attached to that, it's like, you start thinking about that and not in between. So obviously you have to build a conversation. The person that's asking the most questions is the one that is actually in control of it. So I think it's a lot of pressure. But it's not simple.
And that's one of the hugest struggles is, listen, you're in real estate. You've been in real estate since the year 2018. You got used to being able to, everybody wanted to sell. Guys, how hard is it to go talk to someone that's going to liquidate $200,000 on their property, $300,000 on their property? I mean, how hard is it to do that? I'm not saying it's easy, but think about it. But now, those same agents that were, stacking and racking listings, and they were flying off the shelf like this, and multiple offers, and they were selling for $60,000, $100,000 over asking price. Now they gotta level up. They gotta get up, show up, and level up. And now it's a new conversation. So, what do you think, Talia? Come on, bring the fire, girl.
I wanna get into a little bit of the struggle, as far as someone coming into the real estate arena, right? And they're getting a million calls from teams, brokers, companies, all of that good stuff. And now they start talking to the people, and they're hearing everything under the sun, right? So from your perspective, you've been in the industry for 20 plus years, and you've seen it all, right? So what are some of the questions that real estate agents should be asking the brokers to help, their decision making at the end of the day?
So, the real estate agents need to understand that they are only as strong as the people that surround them. And, I may get, I'm going to take a leap of faith here, and I'm just going to speak from the heart. When I got into being a broker and running my own Century 21 company, I recall my mentor said to me, you can't compete with your agents, right? I was like, what does that mean? And my mentor said, if you're going to grow an organization, and if you are going to, get to the levels that you want to get to, you need to understand that you've got to get out of production. You have to get out of production because now your production needs to be done through your agents. Your agents are now your number one customers. Their customers are on the street. Your customers are in the office. And I was like, heck no. I want to make money. If anybody's going to make money, it's me. I'm the broker. If anybody's going to make the most money, it's me. He said, then you will always end up failing, because it's only a matter of time before agents realize and recognize that they're sleeping with the enemy. And what I mean is, there's enough competition out there for the agents. They don't need to have competition from their own broker. And so that led me to understanding the philosophy of strong leadership, selfless leadership, servant leadership. And I've never put my pen down, because I always get back in the trenches, and I've always focused. And he said to me, never put your pen down, because you got to stay sharp at your game. He says, but you cannot be taking new customers. New customers that come to you need to be given to your agents. And I started practicing that philosophy since 2005. And now I've heard horror stories about agents that, didn't know the downfall of asking, Mr. or Mrs. Broker, are you in production? Are you a competing broker? Because, listen, if the broker is out there, and different strokes for different folks. So I'm not judging anyone. If you're a competing broker, hey, that's you. I'm just speaking from experience, but here's what I do know. And your question is very clear and concise. What do you tell agents? What I tell agents is, you need to ask the question. You need to know, because when your broker is out there listing or selling a home, and ready to write a deal for $10,000 in his or her pocket, and you are beating on their door trying to reach them, and they're gonna make what? If you're on 100%, they're gonna make diddly squat up, off of your business, the 100% concept. Or if you're at 80% commission, they're gonna make 20 cents on the dollar, versus them being able to, stack and rack $10,000. Listen, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. Who's gonna be priority? Their customer or their agent? So my philosophy is simple and clear, and I stand by it 100%, because I know what I believe in. If you don't know what you believe in, you're going to fall for anything. If you don't know what you stand for, you're going to fall for anything. So I know what I stand for, and what I stand for is any new customers that come my way, they're given to my agents. My friends and family, I decide what I do with them. Or, my past customers, I decide what I do with them. But normally, I still work them with my agents because there's not enough of me to go around. So the answer is clear. Ask the tough question. Mr. or Mrs. Broker, are you the top agent in the company? Because a lot of companies, the broker is the top agent. Ask the tough question. For me, that's priority. Because you can't expect to be a priority if your broker is treating you like an option. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you are an option, you can't expect to be treated as a priority. So that's a very important question. The other question that I would tell every agent, and you know what? Let me tell you something. Go back and re-interview your broker. If you didn't know this, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. If you didn't know this, go back and have a re-interview with your broker. Sit down and say, hey, can we have a do-over? Can we have a do-over? Because I know you told me you were going to do this, that, and the other. I'm not feeling it, or I'm not seeing it, or I'm lost. Feel free to go back and have a do-over with your broker, with your team leader, with your leadership. Why not? So that's my answer.
I love that answer. And it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I've never been a broker, but it makes a lot of sense when you're trying to create a culture and a team of people who are all striving to the same goal, right? You wanna encourage these people, right? You wanna pour yourself into these people, so like that, at the end of the day, they feel like I can lean on my broker for help. My broker is not competing against me. They're helping me succeed in my business, and I can tell people from firsthand. I mean, yes, you've given me some of your needs, right, to work on, and that, from my perspective, is, it's priceless. Like, you are actually helping and aiding in my success, right, by doing that. So I feel more empowered, more encouraged to go ahead and work that lead as best as I could, and lean on you for help and support, and bring it to the closing table. So I love that answer. I think that's really good. And then you also mentioned something yesterday that I wrote down, and because one of these people mentioned on how everybody has the best training, the best whatever, and then you had asked, you're like, okay, so did you ask them what are they going to do with that training to help me succeed, or to help me implement? Because training stops there. If that person isn't helping you, implement and show you how to do it, how to take that information and actually put it into action, then it's all on you, right? So you asked that question, and that the person didn't. They were like, no. So then that's when you went ahead and you were like, okay, well, I think you need to go ahead and re-interview your broker, because that's important, and maybe that's where the gap is. And if you're not able to, then that's up to you on what you want to do.
Yes. And that's one of the biggest struggles is, you don't know what you don't know. And then the other thing is, every time an agent changes offices. And so here's the thing, you got to find the right fit. So that's why I say traditional recruiting doesn't work. Trust me, I did it. You got a license, you got a pulse, you're hired. You got a license, you got a pulse, you're hired. And that traditional recruiting does not work. You know, right now, the most important thing is, okay, am I aligning with the right business partner? You know, yesterday I asked these people, I said, do you consider yourself a business partner? Do you consider your leadership your business partner? And they were looking at me like I had 5 heads. Because at the end of the day, when you are in business with someone and your profit is being shared, that is a partnership. Now, by the same token, I've got to give my fellow brokers, you know, some you know, backing. And you also have to make some tough decisions, man. If people are not coachable, if they're not trainable, if they're just gimme, right? If they don't even respond to your messages when you call them, if they want to treat you like you're their hostage, like you're their secretary, you know, you call me, I don't have to answer, but when I call you, you got to be at my beck and call. Listen, you got to pull the plug. That is a one-sided, lopsided, toxic relationship. That's not going to work. And you know, that's the struggle in our industry, is that traditional recruiting is all about, you got a license, you got a post, you're hired, and the agents don't know what they're looking for, right? So everybody's number one, but yeah, are you number one for me? Because that's the real question. So you got all these awards and you're number one but where am I going to fit in your number oneness, right? How is that going to add to my bottom dollar? And you have to have these conversations. Now, there are some phenomenal, you know, brokers and team leaders out there that are focused on leveraging and helping their people grow. That's a healthy relationship where it's a mutual beneficial, mutually accountable, mutually, you know, prosperous relationship. Like, I'm here for you, but you show up for you and for me, you know, because otherwise, you know, a lot of brokers, I mean, are going through the pain of having a lot of agents, but they're the ones being held hostage. That's the honest truth. Listen, I've been there, I've done that. You know, you're hostage to the agents that are just gimme, you know, and at the end of the day, the moment you don't come through for them when they expected, how they expected, then, you know, you could have done 20 things right, but you messed up once, that's it. So culture, you know, culture. What is the culture of the organization you're part of? Are you a contributing factor to that culture? Are you a collaborator to that culture? You know, is it a win-win relationship? Are you sleeping with the enemy? Are you an option? You know, it goes both ways. You know, are you an option, or are both of you a priority to each other? Is there mutual respect and trust? You know, these are conversations that need to be had. I mean, I don't know, somebody's waiting for an invitation. You don't need an invitation. Send a text and say, we need a do-over. We need a do-over. Let's have a heart-to-heart, right? Candid conversation. So how exactly is this a win-win for both of us? How are we mutually accountable? How are we mutually prospering from this? And how are we going to mutually benefit? Because this is a partnership. This is supposed to be a partnership.
Yeah, I think it definitely has to be a two-way street, you know, where the agent has to come halfway and the broker also has to come halfway to meet in the middle. So if you are an agent, you feel like you're in the halfway point and your broker isn't meeting you, you know, in the middle, then you need to have another conversation. And then vice versa for the broker. You know, if you're putting your whole everything into your agent and they're not performing, then that's another conversation that you can have. So I agree with that. And then if you guys are aligning with the values and the culture and everything, then it's just a no-brainer. But if not, then definitely redo that interview for sure.
Absolutely. And every time an agent changes companies, they lose about 35% traction in their business. So it's not easy. It's not easy, and that's why knowing the questions to ask, so like even if someone's watching this and you want Talia, to send you, the 10 questions that you need to know before hiring a broker. I'll give it to you. I'll send you my list of 10 questions, because at the end of the day, like I've always said, listen, I've been in this community, in this industry for 23 years. God has been good to me. I don't work for money now. I work for freedom, and I want to build, right, an organization. But more than the size of the organization, it's the culture of the organization and the lives that I can touch, the people that I can help change, the Lucy's that I can help, develop, right? Whether you're a man or a woman, you could be more than a Lucy, right? Because I've accomplished a lot of things, but there's so many more things to accomplish, and I feel that the sky is not the limit. So if you're feeling the struggle, if you're feeling the pain of, okay, I'm in an organization, I'm in a company where, like these people have mentioned, I'm losing deals because I can't even reach my broker. I feel like a lost student in middle school, with the big students, and I just showed up to remember when you would show up as a little kid, even to high school, you were in 10th grade, and seniors are walking by, and you're like just looking at them like, oh my God.
It was terrifying.
Right. So if you're feeling that pain of being lost in the shuffle, if you're someone that's on to your second or third, oh my goodness, listen, I worked at one company. I grew with that broker because he helped me grow. He understood the power behind leadership, servant leadership. But I see agents hopping around from company to company. Every time you hop around, you are sending your customers a message. There's a message that we are sending out. So before you make a move, if you want those questions that I put together back in, because listen, no one's going to reinvent the wheel, right? And they're powerful questions that you need to know. So if you want a copy of those, drop your phone number there in the chat, Talia, where people can reach you, and we'll send you the copy. Just because at this point in my career, I want to make an impact. I've had the 100+ agents. I've had the multi-million dollars, the awards, the name, the prestige, the fame, all that stuff. You know what? At the end of the day, I'm going for purpose and for mission, and I'm having fun doing it. And I have found a new way to relaunch, rebuild, and I'm enjoying it. I call it that second mountain of success. But if you need anything that we can help you with, even if it's just pick up the phone, ask us a question. If you're a broker and you are going to, rebuild your company, listen, I'll open up my playbook for you. I will open up my playbook for you, and I will share with you my best tips and tricks, or my best, strategies for, what they call recruiting, retaining, training, and growing your organization. Why not? Why not? So great conversation, Talia. I'm super happy we talked about this, and we're going to continue going deep with this. I know a lot of people are enjoying this.
Yes, I'm super excited. This was amazing. And I just want to thank everyone for watching. So I did put my number below. So if you want those 10 questions when you're interviewing 8 brokers, go ahead and reach out to me so I can send that to you. Or if you just want to chat, I'm open to that as well.
All right, guys.
All right.
Make it an awesome day. Bye-bye.